Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Adaptation Games, and may the odds be ever in your favor. We're the Adaptation Games, a Hunger Games podcast, where we are taking a look at the Hunger Games books, their adaptations into the film series, and their place in our media landscape. My name is Kels.
And I'm Ash.
And we believe the Hunger Games series is one of the best examples to demonstrate exactly how you should be looking at adapting from book to screen. We don't claim to be experts. Neither of us have written a book or a script. We mostly are just looking to take a look at a series that we love. And I can finally put my sociology degree kind of to work. I'm a little bit biased. I really love the movies, partially because of how they portray the revolution, especially at the time that I was studying social movements in school. It was at the height of Arab Spring happening, and they were using a lot of Hunger Games visuals in within the movement. And so I was like fascinated by the real world implications of that. And so I've always been a huge lover of how the movies ended up portraying everything. So I'm excited. I get to actually like talk about stuff that I wrote about in college. Who knew? I didn't. I haven't used that degree in years.
We love to finally use that college degree. And I studied English, specifically rhetoric. So I'm very interested in seeing how the messages both the author was writing and how the book was actually adapted and how they adapted the themes of the book into the movies, how it differentiates in the mediums. What you can do on screen is stuff you can't do in a book and vice versa. So I'll be looking at it more as like a how did it translate?
Yeah. And what's your history specifically with the Hunger Games? You read it in high school too, right?
Yes, yeah. We were both quite obsessed when we were back in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
That was one of the first, I forget, it was the first movie, I think, where that was one of the first movies I saw, without like my parents, because we had lived up in this like little small town. So it's a little hard to
Yeah.
go to the movie theater without parents being involved, but
Yeah.
we carpooled down there, and then the movie was amazing. I remember the crowd being great, very dedicated to it, but I do mostly remember the drive home in a complete whiteout blizzard. I thought we might die.
Yeah, straight over the mountain. Not a good time. Yeah, I think the first book might have been like the small book club that was happening at the library. I can't remember, but I remember by the time I was reading Mockingjay in the back of like trig class or whatever, and Jordan was sitting in front of me and he was reading Catching Fire and I was reading Mockingjay, and we had those long desks and we were both reading it like under the desk, and he turns around because he had just read the Quarter Quell announcement scene and he was like shocked, and he turns around and I'm like in tears behind him because I had basically just gotten to the end of Mockingjay, and he's like, oh my god, what happened to you? You look like somebody died. And I was like, well, I can't tell you because you're like in Catching Fire. um, but that's
Trust
always
me,
stuck with me.
you're
I
at a
remember that.
high of the series.
Yeah. Just like enjoy it while it lasts. And then ever since I've read it like a million times over, just recently picked them up again like last year, the year before. When did Ballad come out? Now I can't remember what year Ballad
Oh
came out,
no.
but probably around that time I picked them up again and got obsessed with rewatching and rereading them.
Yeah, and I recently got back into them through the audiobooks. I listened to the Tatiana Maslany's audiobooks and was
Amazing.
crying in the woods on a hike, as she sang to Rue.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Amazing. That's like the perfect way to listen to Tatiana Maslany, I feel like. It's just when you're
Yeah,
alone
it
in the
also
woods.
just fit the mood. It was a very long hike.
Yeah. And I never really had a ton of interest in, you and I talk about media stuff all the time and we analyze it. But I was kind of inspired by this when The Sinners script was circulating and it was incredible, which shout out Ryan Coogler for winning his screenplay Oscar.
Well
Pretty
deserved.
awesome. Very well written script, and I was super interested reading kind of the musical sequences, how they had written some of the stuff into the script for the Hunger Games, and I had never thought about that before. I had never looked at the script, and I looked up the script, and man, that it's wildly different from the final film, and it just got me really interested in thinking about, oh, why did they make this choice? How did they come to this decision? How did they decide what's getting cut? What isn't? What ended up working? What didn't? And all I wanted to do was talk about it with you. It's like, let's
Oh,
do it in a podcast.
perfect. Yeah, and The Hunger Games is fascinating because it is a very loyal adaptation to the series.
Hmm.
It doesn't stray too far.
Yeah, it really does. It does the thing where it matches beat for beat. So every week, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the movies. We'll hit the major points in the films, and then we'll kind of match whatever it was adapting from the books. What did it leave out? Why did it maybe leave out some points? Or how did it change it to make it work in a visual medium? And how is that first person to, omniscient third person, right? Is that the correct term? In
My
film.
English degree is a decade old.
Yeah. And how are the visuals playing a narrative and the actually being able to hear the music versus imagining it? Like, what kind of differences do those make? Because they obviously can make a really big difference. And kind of looking at how that affects the overall themes and narrative of what's being delivered to us. We're looking at how 10 and a half hours, which is how long the audiobook is for the first book, is condensed into 2 hours and 22 minutes in the film and still feels like it rings pretty true.
Yeah. And we'll also include some special episodes where we to look at the script that got the movie greenlit by Billy Ray, Gary Ross, and Suzanne Collins. And we might take some episodes to focus on themes, some casting decisions behind the scenes, or kind of any interesting topics that don't fit into like a regular episode.
Yeah, and I'm excited because Billy Ray is writing the script for Sunrise on the Reaping. So that's going to be really interesting. Also, something that we're just really excited for to come out in
Yes.
November.
Absolute depressive
Yeah.
book. It's
Yeah,
kind
somehow
of a
we're excited
bummer
to
when
see it.
like they don't really win. Oh.
Yeah.
Like,
Future Kels and Ash here.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Surprising coincidence this week that the Sunrise on the Reaping full trailer also happened to drop earlier this week.
Yeah, it was just, the date just felt right. And here we are.
Here we are. So makes us even more excited for the movie to be coming out. But we had not watched this trailer prior to recording our first several episodes. So we just wanted to hop in and let everybody know that we did it. We haven't seen it yet. And so we won't be talking about it for our first couple of episodes, but we may start referencing it later down the line or maybe do like a different breakdown episode because I'm really excited to be able to really dig into it. But we are still on the first book. So
Exactly. Yes, I think it'd be a very fun separate episode. Future Kels and Ash out.
yeah, and we're also excited to see if we pick up on anything new when watching and comparing things, so closely. There's already a few things that we've picked up just by rereading the first chapter and watching the first part of the movie that we had never thought of before.
yeah, so we hope you join us on our journey. You can watch along, you can read along, listen along. Listening along is always a great choice. Tatiana Maslany, again, shout out. She's incredible. And get excited for the Sunrise on the Reaping film released later this year. And we will see you in our first episode on May 1st. Closing
Ta-ta.
jingle, whatever section of the song we decide to use, end, play, yada yada, end.